It's June 22nd, 2012. We have finally made it to Warsaw, Poland. And we are at our first welcome dinner here in Warsaw at the ZK restaurant. Can't say the whole thing. ZK Opera. Can't pronounce it in Polish. Valencia's study abroad takes off. The European Soccer Championships are taking place here. You can see that this city is alive and well in Warsaw. Gigantic screens playing out there in the middle of the city. Valencia students have arrived. We're our first day in first full day of touring here in Warsaw. We are now in one of the main parks of the city, where they're having explained to them about the statue you see in front of us, which is the statue for the famous Polish composer Chopin. And actually, if you go back here at the beginning of the park, there's a display of the park, and this bench which will play some of the music. We're in the Museum of the Gestapo headquarters here in Warsaw, Poland. This was usually the first stop. People who were being interrogated by the Nazis. From here they would go to famous or infamous Pawiak prison, and from there, of course, on to the concentration camps. This was a typical underground press that took place during the Warsaw Ghetto siege. A lot of the insurgents were putting out leaflets and publications calling for support and for other people to join them in their fight.
Powiedział mi, ja chcę iść, to niech idzie. Takie są czasy, nie powinno być nie mamy prawa zbroić, tak, i tak dalej, no ale będzie ustawione swoje na to, że dalej powiedział. Będą do nas wrócić zdania, które ładny dzień słoneczny, ale zaczyna się jakiś taki krzyk na ulicy, robi coś tego i chodzą przez bramy, patrzę, tam już flagi wkładają biało-czerwone, krzyk powstanie. Więc to się straszny szum zrobił. Ludzie zaczęli się cieszyć, wszyscy wylegli na ulicę z domu. I oczywiście od razu zaczęliśmy budować barykady.
Na co ktoś na podwórku, mając donośnym głosem, wzywał mężczyzn do budowania barykady. No oczywiście, wszyscy występowali dalej, spoczyli i budowaliśmy barykady.
Be careful with your hands because you could be
We're now going through what is
right or left.
pretty much like the sewers
I'm gonna
that
go left because right's really small.
they had to go through during the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. Although this is a simulation built in the museum, it very much reflects what the people had to go through during the uprising as they fought against the Nazis or looked for places to escape. Whew. I would not have done well here with my back. The steps to way out of the sewers.
I mean, like longer, like cover more area.
Warsaw fights back.
Walki na krakowskim przedmieściu.
The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
Powstańczy wynalazek, wyrzutnia butelek z benzyną jest skuteczny. Jest więc radość ze zwycięstwa.
They just told everything in the previous correct, but this bed was not for one person. Yeah, even 5, 6 people could sleep in one bed. Yeah, yeah. So we can now imagine how thin they are.
They'd have to sleep like sardines, head to tail, head to tail. You know what I mean by sardines in a can? Yeah. Where the head, one person's head is over here, the other person's head is over here. And again, they had to, if one person needed to turn over in the middle of the night, they all had to turn over.
One bed.
Yeah, yeah.
So if your bed in your bed tonight is a little uncomfortable in the hotel,
It was possible.
give it a little perspective.
It was possible.
I know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but we can imagine how thin they are.
Yeah.
Or the rest of the week in one of the other hostels. If the bed is
Yeah, and if they suffer from hunger,
put it in perspective.
How many people have slept in one of these?
5, 6. In one little thing? Mm-hmm.
Kids or
Adults. But you have to remember, these were adults that had lost so much weight that they were emaciated, they were thin, and they slept head, tail, head, feet, in order to fit.
Who was fighting, and also some like pieces of shoes. So this is for the label, pieces of the glasses from the eyeglasses. And when we come to this part, it gives us already the introduction to what was happening to the Jewish population in Poland. which were found around here. As you know, Nazis used to destroy the Jewish cemeteries in order to take away the stones which were used for the road construction. Even when you think about the movie the Schindler's List, you can see people walking into the Płaszczów camp, stepping on the massivas. Then they see that because Nazis would put it in such a way that people could see that they're actually stepping on the stones. Some of the signs here are translated, so you can see who was buried there. So some pieces were found here, some in the neighborhood, and actually it still happens around the whole country that pieces of stones are found as a part of the... When you have a look here, you can see where the stones were coming. And today there are the stone-laid platforms and the trucks that then you're going to see as well. Pretty much the part where you can see the houses and what the numbers there, but to the left, this is this colorful building up there, that's one that looks like a tent. You can also see it on the picture just ahead of you, in front of you. This was a zoo, which was kept here for the entertainment of Nazis who were staying in here. Usually in the camp there was, as I was mentioning on the bus, around 600 workers, prisoner workers. There was around 60 Ukrainians who also were in a way working here. And also there was usually a group of 10 to 20 assessments, and they were staying in this park, which you can see over there. The U-shaped building in this part of the camp, it was for the prisoners, for those who were working. This is where they were staying over the night. This park pretty much is overgrown by trees today. So when we walk towards the monument, you will mostly see this park, where this park was located. So you can see when the trains were coming, people were supposed to...
This table was used, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, Paulina, but this table was used for the dissection of victims, taking the gold, filling out of their teeth, and so forth. At one point, they did have actually human bones on display there because it was the dissection table. But apparently some people, some groups felt it was a little much. It was a little too personal to have on display body parts. And so they
wouldn't want it to be realistic or anything.
And they were taken out here, and you'll see they were put into a sarcophagus, which is more like a casket inside. The bones were moved in there. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So make sure that I'm, giving you the right information. But this was, and almost every camp you see a dissection table like this. See here symbolically represent where the fence around Treblinka existed. In front of us, here we have the entrance gate to the camp. What was the entrance gate?
Per day only from Warsaw, right? So it gives us an idea how big the trains were, how big the transportations were. So it doesn't mean that the train would just come here, the short one, and stop. Very often the trains were already waiting to come in here, get undressed, and then go into the gas chambers. In Polish it says here this is the death row leading to the gas chambers, and you can see the stones here that give us the names of the countries from which people were brought. And I think you can recognize some, but for instance there's Belgium, there is Yugoslavia, there is the Soviet Union, France, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Bulgaria, there is the Warsaw Ghetto. And again, some mostly this is to show the towns and villages from which people were brought. You can see that some of the tiny ones, they don't have any names on it. So this is dedicated to those that we don't know from where we're transported. If you have a look here to the right, you can see the stone commemorating Janusz Korczak and children. This is exactly what it says.
18,000, actually 17,000 headstones are present here at Treblinka. Each headstone commemorates or remembers, I shouldn't say commemorate, I use that word interchangeably sometimes, and I shouldn't. Commemorate means to celebrate. Each one remembers the victims of a town or a village that perished. Some are small because we don't know exactly how many people in certain towns and villages may have perished. The larger stones represent larger towns. And so in total we have 17,000 stones scattered throughout all of this camp. Hi, this is Professor Rich Gare. It is June 24th, 2012, and I am sitting actually here, stooping in front of the headstone for the gravestone for the town of Chmielnik. It's a special stone because it represents the town which a dear friend of mine, survivor, who's been to my classroom at Valencia many times, Helen Greenspun. This is her hometown. So this is a tribute to Helen, her parents, who perished along with the other members of the town of Chmielnik. 10,000 of them were Jews among a population of total 12,000, a very large Jewish population. So Helen, I will be posting this online, and as last year the students did a memorial service here, this year I'm just sending you greetings from Treblinka. I just saw you a couple of days ago, and I want you to know that you are in our minds and in our hearts as we visit these places. Okay, if we study the monument here, where the gas chambers were, it doesn't take much study to see that the faces are engraved in that monument. Okay.
Nothing stops you, Treblinka, hidden away in the woods, as your yellow sand turns red with blood. Is there anyone to stop this? Something must be done. If you are not stopped, there will remain not one. Treblinka, you child eater, your wheels spin and turn, your gears well oiled while the human soup is churned. A soup made of children who no longer run or play, a bloody soup that is dumped into yellow sand and clay. Dig pits in the sand, hidden beyond the trees. Treblinka exists only if no one sees. Covered over by them, so that none would see the place. To hide what was done, there is scarcely a trace. The satanic Nazi smile, beckon and beguile. Why, it is not so hard to fool a child. Could God really be giving these young ones up to die? Innocent, teary eyes look to their parents and say goodbye. It would have been better had there never been birth, for these innocent eyes will never see life's worth. Fate has chosen these little ones to die. Many today still ask why. We think it's all over. It is done. It is past. We want to believe the children screamed their last, but listen close and you will hear the sound of Treblinka's faint heartbeat below the yellow ground.
At first they wanted to persuade us with nice words. An important person from Lublin came to the camp, gathered us together, and spoke to us. We were told that a Jewish city was being established and that Jews would be granted full autonomy there, and if we would work with dedication and earn their trust, we would receive leadership positions in the Jewish city. When the nice words did not help, they began to threaten us. They announced that if the escape attempts continued, they would strip us and we would have to work naked. And that attempted escape would be punished by death, by torture, because we had violated the trust that had been placed in us.
To demonstrate that these were not idle threats, the next day 2 young boys were stopped and accused of having planned an escape from the camp. In the center of Roll Call Square, a gallows was built and all the prisoners were gathered around it. The commander gave us a short speech on the punishment of the escapees, and the 2 boys were hung naked by their feet. The Germans whipped their swinging bodies for about half an hour until one of the Germans pulled one gun and shot them.
This is one of the many awful incidents that occurred in the extermination camp Treblinka, recounted by Treblinka prisoner and Holocaust survivor Oskar Stronitzky. Because the Jews of Treblinka knew that they'd be killed once they outlived their usefulness, an underground movement was organized in which Oscar was a part of. We'd like to take the time to remember those who died in Treblinka, as well as those like Oscar who fought to keep many alive.
Thank you. What you've just seen, ladies and gentlemen, is a memorial tribute put together by 4 students at Valencia College. We're here at Treblinka Death Camp. It's June 24th, 2012. It's the first of 4 camps that we will be visiting this 11-day, once-in-a-lifetime journey. Please continue to follow us as we post these videos and pictures online and learn with us as we learn the depth to which man has gone to reach the point that they did during the Holocaust. Thank you.
To stay here, and they were poured with the water. Sometimes to just use the power over the prisoners, SS men started to pour very hot water and then very cold. And of course people had no soaps, no towels. And it took few seconds, of course. Okay, and after this they had to immerse into concrete cubes. Do you know the substance called Lysol? Yeah, for disinfection. Yeah. So it was mixed with the cold water. The thing was that they didn't want to, SS men, they didn't want to even change the water. So it was black, and sometimes, and they had to burn bodies. So what is important? There was no entrance over there. Now it's just for visitors, to make it easier. But there was no entrance. This bathroom was isolated with fence, and only a limited group, even of SS men, had an access to this place. It was some kind of top secret. There was people in gas chambers. They realized, the camp, what was. So, looking at the pictures, I want to tell you that very often when they started to work in the camp, they were just ordinary people, Like, for example, this lady, Helena Braunstein. She wanted to be a nurse. She took care of a sick mother and wanted to be a nurse, even twice. And here in the camp, she was a terrible monster. For example, as for this lady, I remember stories about her shoes with this part made of metal, to step on faces of the girls. So people were beaten for anything, and a lot of SS soldiers started to be monsters here in the camp, just for money, because when they were working in concentration camps, they had better conditions, like free accommodation, free food, 3 times bigger salary than it was normally. That's why many of them started to be like this. And of course, some of them believed what Hitler believed, this philosophy about.
This exhibition is known as the Shrine. It is one that I have not been into yet here at Majdanek, to commemorate the various victims.
whole thing in there.
The end of the
There we
day
go.
at Majdanek.
I got it. Ready? 1.
We'll be leaving the camp shortly
Is that enough?
and heading back towards Warsaw, where we'll have a debriefing session. Find out the students' reactions to what they have been witness to today. Making our way through the streets of Poland. I've been to Sachsenhausen and a number of other camps where actually they have a very white, sterile room. It almost looks like a doctor's operating room. And they have a whole row of these dissection tables lined up next to each other. And you think when you're walking into an operating room, white tile and just you have a very sanitary look and so on, and yet this is what was happening in these particular dissection rooms.
I guess it was for blood.
For what?
Blood.
It's black.
Blood.
Oh, blood. Blood.
Yeah, I guess it was.
The blood would be drained.
Yeah. And I know because some little boys told me once, yeah, I didn't realize.
And that's where the bones were moved into this sarcophagus, this casket here is where the bones were moved from that front display. People felt it was just a little much. And this is where they'd have their rose garden, where they would use the ashes as fertilizer. Right there. Human ash is used to fertilize their rose garden.
As for some numbers, in total it was 150,000 people here. 78 died, including
78,000?
died. 78,000 of people died here at Majdanek.